Picture this. You post something online, a photo, a video, maybe just an idea you're really proud of. And then you wait, right? 1 minute passes, no likes. 5 minutes pass, still nothing. And suddenly your mind just starts racing. Was it bad? Are people ignoring me? Should I just take it down? And then finally, boom, one notification pops up. Someone liked it. Instantly, you feel this undeniable wave of relief wash over you. It's crazy, right? Because literally nothing huge happened, no real problem was solved, but your brain feels so much better.
So why does our brain crave this validation? And on the flip side, why does rejection hurt so incredibly much? Like, why do you care what people think, even when you explicitly tell yourself you don't? Well, we're going to answer exactly that in today's explainer. And the very first thing you need to know is that this craving, it isn't a weakness. It's pure evolutionary biology. Your brain seeks approval because for the vast majority of human history, approval literally meant safety.
Which brings us to Section 1, the biology of belonging.
Okay, to really understand why we're wired this way, we've got to transport ourselves back thousands of years. Imagine being an ancient human living out in the wild. You know, there are no hospitals, no supermarkets, no locked doors. You are completely exposed. In that harsh environment, belonging wasn't just, a nice warm fuzzy feeling. It meant survival. The tribe protected you from predators, they helped you find food, they shared vital knowledge. Because a human all alone was incredibly vulnerable, your brain became super social simply out of necessity. It learned to constantly ask these silent questions. Do they accept me? Am I useful to the group? Because if the group approved of you, you stayed alive. If you were pushed away, well, that was basically a death sentence.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core of our problem today. While ancient rejection meant exile, danger, and literally death, modern rejection looks like getting 0 likes, being unfollowed, or maybe a missed text message. But here's the wild part. Your brain is actively misinterpreting a low number of likes today as the exact same life or death threat as ancient exile. Your brain just hasn't updated its software yet to realize that a missed text isn't going to get you eaten by a tiger.
Because ultimately, rejection is really just an ancient social threat response. It's activated by your brain to prevent you from being excluded. When someone ignores your message or criticizes your work, your chest might feel heavy, right? Or your stomach might tighten up. Modern rejection feels huge because it wakes up this deeply ancient survival system. It's physically forcing you to pay attention to social signals so you don't get, quote-unquote, kicked out of the tribe.
This leads us to Section 2, the modern approval trap.
So, what actually happens when we drop this ancient, hypersensitive social brain right into the 21st century? Well, we fall straight into a modern trap. The scale of the mismatch here is just staggering. In our ancient tribe, your brain only had to care about the opinions of maybe a few dozen people, and people you actually knew face to face. But today, the internet exposes us to literally millions of strangers, public metrics, and instant judgment. Our ancient brain simply cannot tell the difference between our small, intimate tribe and millions of random people online. To it, all attention looks like survival approval, and all silence feels like dangerous rejection.
And honestly, it just takes one. Just one view, one tiny little digital reward acts as a modern survival signal, and it floods your brain with dopamine. And social media platforms, they understand this biology perfectly. They are built from the ground up around capturing your attention by training your brain to seek this addictive validation over and over and over again. Every single notification becomes a tiny hit of survival reassurance. And slowly, kind of without even realizing it, you start adjusting who you are just to get more of it.
Let's look at Section 3, the cost of pleasing. When we constantly chase that digital validation, there is a very steep psychological cost. It results in something we call self-editing. Now, self-editing is what happens when your brain's desire for safety totally overrides your authenticity. You start hiding parts of yourself, you say yes when you really want to say no, you laugh when a joke isn't funny, or you pretend you're totally fine when you're actually hurting inside. Your brain is basically trying to keep you safe by avoiding conflict and criticism, but it tricks you into choosing your clothes, your words, and even your silence, all just for the sake of getting approval. And this habit, it eventually builds into a sort of emotional slavery. Approval literally becomes a cage. Sure, it feels incredibly safe in the moment to have everybody like you, but it costs you your ultimate freedom. The more you chase external approval, the more terrified you become of losing it. And before you know it, your mood, your confidence, and your peace of mind end up being completely controlled by unstable algorithms and the shifting opinions of total strangers.
Which brings us to the most important part, Section 4, cultivating internal self-worth.
Okay, so how do we break out of this cage? How do we identify the steps to stop seeking validation? Now, the goal here isn't to become some emotionless robot and stop caring completely. I mean, we are social creatures after all. The real goal is to stop needing it. We need to install a new operating system. Step 1 is to pause and question your motive before you act or post. Step 2 is to actively build internal approval. We basically have to train the brain to look inward for validation so that we aren't constantly starving for it from the outside world. So let's break down exactly how to do this.
The very next time you find yourself altering your behavior or obsessively checking your phone, I want you to ask yourself this. Am I doing this because it is true to me or because I want to be accepted? Just sitting with that question for a few seconds brings a massive amount of awareness to the situation. And awareness, that is the absolute kryptonite to automatic approval-seeking behavior. It literally interrupts that ancient survival loop right in its tracks.
Here is another incredibly powerful question to challenge yourself with. Would I still choose this if nobody clapped? Really think about your goals, the photos you share, or even the way you dress. Are you actually looking for constructive feedback, or are you just desperately looking for permission to feel like you are enough? Because if you wouldn't do it in an empty room, you really have to question who you're actually doing it for.
To truly cultivate self-worth through internal affirmation, try running through this quick checklist at the end of every single day. Did I act with honesty? Did I improve even a little? Did I respect myself? Did I choose courage over fear? By answering these questions, you are actively rewiring your brain. You're training it to measure its worth based on your own internal values, not external reactions. When you begin to genuinely respect yourself based on this checklist, suddenly external approval just becomes a nice little bonus, rather than a lifeline you desperately depend on.
I want to leave you with this final empowering thought. I want connection, but I do not need everyone's approval to be enough. Listen, wanting approval doesn't make you weak. It just makes you beautifully, biologically human. But you now have the tools to belong without pretending. So the next time you feel that sting of rejection or the anxiety of silence, ask yourself this. Are you willing to trade your true authenticity just to feel safe in a modern tribe?